Okay, picture this. The cameras flashed, the world stopped, everyone suddenly tuned out the usual news cycle.
And tuned into this single, really intense, almost intimate conversation.
Yeah, because John Stamos, Uncle Jesse, just stepped completely out of character.
Totally. He sat down and just publicly eviscerated Mossimo Giannulli, the estranged husband of Lori Loughlin, his friend and co-star, for, what, decades?
It was explosive. He didn't hold back.
No, it was way more than just an angry rant. He flat out called Giannulli a terrible narcissist.
And then, in the same breath,
Called Loughlin a saint. I mean, that's not just being a loyal friend. That felt like a really calculated move, like declaring war in the court of public opinion.
right. Welcome, everyone, to Starscope Report.
Where we dig into all the Hollywood drama, the music industry shakeups, the influencer scandals, all of it.
We try to uncover the stories behind the fame, and today we're diving deep into why John Stamos spoke out so forcefully.
And what his very public loyalty reveals about celebrity, friendship, and, well, managing scandal.
What's really striking is the timing, isn't it? This verbal bombshell didn't just come out of nowhere.
No, it landed right after a pretty major life change for Loughlin.
Exactly. We have to start with the split itself, the official one that sort of set the stage for this.
Right, the formal announcement about Loughlin and Giannulli separating. That came out around October 2nd, 3rd, 2025.
And it confirmed the end of, wow, nearly 28 years of marriage.
Yeah. And, Loughlin's rep put out that very standard, very careful statement.
The usual stuff, living apart, taking a break.
And stressing, importantly, no legal proceedings at this time. But, I mean, that official line felt pretty sterile, didn't it?
Totally. It papered over what sounds like a really deep, long collapse.
Something that had been brewing for years, really going all the way back to the Operation Varsity Blues scandal in 2019.
Yeah.
This felt like the final delayed tremor from that earthquake.
And then Stamos steps in. And his intervention, it wasn't just some random outburst on social media.
No, it was very precisely timed, wasn't it? Mid-October on the Good Guys podcast.
He definitely chose that format carefully. It gives you that intimacy, right? Long, uninterrupted chunks of conversation.
Allows for those shareable clips, too. And it sounds more like real candor than, say, a structured TV interview.
Which would just sound like a press release, yeah.
And he used that platform to send a message that was anything but subtle. He spoke right to Loughlin, basically.
What was the exact quote again?
He said, look, all the negativity or hardships that you've been through in your life is connected to this guy.
Wow. Just laying it all at Giannulli's feet.
Completely. He's basically handing her a prepackaged narrative, a way to solve this lingering PR problem she's had since the scandal.
Okay, so if you're finding these Hollywood twists fascinating, definitely make sure you're subscribed.
Yeah, because the money side of this, the financial tangles and those infidelity rumors, it gets even more dramatic.
Let's dig into that now. The money, the resentment, the stuff that was simmering beneath the surface for years.
Well, like we said, the separation wasn't exactly a shock if you were watching closely. There were signs.
Right, like back in February 2025, wasn't it, when they listed that huge mansion?
Exactly. Their 11,800 square foot place in Hidden Hills put it up for $16.5 million.
In situations like this, that's usually not just about downsizing.
No, in family law, listing the marital home like that screams, we're getting ready to divide assets. It was a signal flare months before the official word.
And sources seem pretty clear that the costly admission scandal was the main driver of the split, the primary strain.
Yeah, apparently things have never been the same since then. They put on that united front during the whole legal mess.
Which they kind of had to, right, for survival.
Absolutely. But reports say it was totally superficial. The long-term damage was done. Professionally, too.
Yeah, Loughlin lost that big Hallmark Channel deal. That had to hurt.
Hugely lucrative. And Giannulli's fashion brand sales reportedly took a hit, too. That kind of financial and career stress, it poisons things.
And it sounds like it bred a lot of resentment internally.
Sources were saying Giannulli was blaming Loughlin for the fallout, for the money issues.
Well, she now feels betrayed by him, like he was the one who got them into it.
Exactly. Viewing him as the sort of architect of their downfall, that's a tough dynamic for any marriage to survive.
And then there's the money itself. Their shared fortune is substantial.
Estimates are anywhere between, $80 million and $160 million. It's a huge amount.
Which makes the whole split incredibly complex, financially speaking.
And this is where things get really interesting, legally speaking, and why that initial statement about no legal proceedings might have been strategic.
You mean the prenup?
Bingo. There's reportedly a prenuptial agreement from way back in 1997.
Okay.
And apparently Giannulli insisted on it back then when his own net worth was already pretty significant.
And that prenup supposedly designates assets as separate property.
That's the key, which could seriously limit Loughlin's access to his fortune, the wealth he brought into, or maybe even accrued during the marriage, depending on the specifics.
Okay, so the delay in filing anything legally, it might not have been about reconciliation.
It could easily have been strategic hesitation, letting the lawyers map out the battlefield before firing the first shots, so to speak.
So, thinking strategically then, if Loughlin's legal position might be a bit weaker because of that prenup, does Stamos's very public, very aggressive attack on Giannulli become a kind of extra legal weapon?
How do you mean?
Like a way to pressure Giannulli, weaken his public standing, maybe even his negotiating position before they get to settlement talks, using public shame for potential financial leverage.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a classic move. When the strict legal path is tricky, you take it to the court of public opinion. You try to shape the narrative to your advantage.
And it wasn't just about this scandal fallout or the money, was it? There were other rumors.
Right. Adding fuel to the fire, sources claim the final straw for Loughlin was finding, quote, shocking and incriminating texts and emails on his phone.
Oof, never good.
No. And on top of that, Giannulli was photographed with a younger stylist right around the time the separation news broke.
So you've got the financial stress, the long-term resentment, and potential infidelity.
It created the perfect storm.
Yeah.
And into that storm walks John Stamos, ready to control the narrative.
Okay, it's fascinating how he did that. Let's talk about the way he defended her. It leaned heavily on their history, didn't it?
Oh, massively. This brings us to that 40-year friendship. You know, Jesse defends Becky. It wasn't just a friend sticking up for another friend. It was tapping into something much deeper.
Decades of public goodwill and nostalgia.
Exactly. That bond between Stamos and Loughlin, it was forged on Full House, cemented on Fuller House. Jesse Katsopoulos and Rebecca Donaldson. They're iconic.
And that history gives Stamos this incredible
Moral weight.
Yeah, exactly. In the public's eyes, he's not just some random celebrity commenting. He's Uncle Jesse, the embodiment of loyalty, the protective figure.
And think about how Stamos himself has framed their relationship over the years.
Oh, right, the whole one that got away narrative.
Yeah. He's talked about that very small window when they were both single, but he didn't pursue her because she was too nice or something.
And he was more into the rebellious type back then, supposedly. It's amazing. 40 years later, he's still sort of playing that role.
The devoted, protective friend, maybe even the would-be partner. It adds this layer of chivalry to everything he's saying now.
It's PR gold, that kind of built-in nostalgia.
Absolutely. Because when Stamos speaks now, it's framed through that lens. It's the beloved TV husband defending the quote-unquote innocent wife.
Which is crucial because it lets him try to rewrite history a bit, doesn't it? Regarding the actual scandal.
He basically attempts to relitigate the whole thing in public opinion.
But wait, isn't that risky for him? Stamos has this squeaky clean, beloved image. Isn't he contradicting the known facts here?
He is, and it's a bold move. We have to remember the legal reality.
Right. Loughlin and Giannulli both pleaded guilty.
To conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud for paying $500,000 to that admissions fixer, Rick Singer.
And Loughlin served time, 2 months in prison, and she admitted herself she made an awful decision.
Stamos just sweeps that aside. He said, point blank, I'm not here to debate whether she had much to do with it or not. I know she didn't.
Wow, that's not just spin, that's directly contradicting her own plea and statement.
It really is. He's actively trying to replace the uncomfortable fact of her admitted guilt with this more palatable story.
The narrative of the noble sacrifice.
Yeah, painting Giannulli as the sole villain, the one responsible, and framing Loughlin's prison time as this terrible injustice she suffered for him. He actually said she goes to effing prison for this asshole.
The language is so strong.
It's incredibly strong, and the PR goal seems pretty clear.
Frame her as a victim.
Well, essentially, yeah, someone who didn't deserve to be dragged through that. Shift her public image from co-conspirator, which the guilty plea establishes, to collateral damage.
So she's basically providing the narrative framework she needs for a career comeback as she tries to ease back into acting.
Precisely. He's using his own immense likability, his own celebrity capital, to essentially launder her reputation.
And that strategic approach, it's really clear in the specific words he chose, too.
Definitely. Which brings us to the actual denunciation and how everyone else reacted or didn't react.
Yeah, let's look at that. It felt like a very targeted character assassination of Giannulli.
The language was incredibly precise, wasn't it? He uses this clinical-sounding term, terrible narcissist.
Which frames Giannulli's actions not just as bad choices, but as, like, an incurable personality flaw.
Right. And then he follows it up with that absolute severing, I will never talk to him again. Just cuts him off completely.
Even the criticism felt strategic, like when he said, I pray for this guy, I think this guy needs help.
Exactly. It almost sounds like pity, which weirdly makes the attack seem more righteous, more morally grounded, even while being incredibly harsh.
And while he's tearing Giannulli down.
He's elevating Loughlin using almost religious language. A saint, an angel.
And insisting, I know all this for a fact. Positioning himself as the ultimate authority on her true character.
Regardless of her admitted actions in the scandal, she's presented as intrinsically good, the one who always made things better. It's a stark contrast he's drawing.
So how did Giannulli and Loughlin react to this public defense? Or attack, depending on your perspective?
Well, that's almost as interesting as the attack itself. Look at the silence.
Giannulli said nothing, right?
Total radio silence. Adopted that classic zero comments crisis strategy. Which makes sense, really.
Yeah, engaging Stamos directly would be a losing battle for him publicly.
He'd just give the story more oxygen and probably come off looking worse. Staying silent is damage control.
But Lori Loughlin's silence.
Yeah.
That feels different.
It's very telling, isn't it? Her reps just offered the standard no comment.
Which in this context feels like tacit approval.
At the very least. It strongly implies she's okay with Stamos doing the quote-unquote dirty work, attacking her ex publicly while she stays above the fray.
She maintains her dignity, while her champion fights the battle for her in the press.
Exactly. It's a coordinated strategy, even if it's unspoken.
And the public reaction, has it worked?
It seems pretty divided, honestly. You've got the fans who are all in on the nostalgia.
Uncle Jesse always has Aunt Becky's back, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that narrative is powerful. But then you have the critics, the people who are focused on the actual crime.
Who are saying, hang on, she pleaded guilty, she's no victim.
Right. She willingly participated. So Stamos definitely kicked up a firestorm. He's forced people to kind of reevaluate and pick a side in this ongoing narrative war about Loughlin.
So the story really has been shifted, hasn't it? From Lori and Mossimo, the criminal couple, finally split.
To something more like Lori, the saintly victim, is finally free from her terrible narcissistic husband. He successfully reframed the entire conversation.
It was a really powerful play, leveraging his own fame.
Definitely. Using his beloved status, that 40-year foundation of public affection, to try and control the story. It's a masterclass in using celebrity capital for PR triage, especially right before a potentially messy divorce.
So I guess the final question for you, listening right now, is, can this actually work long-term? Can the power of a really well-told story, especially coming from someone as liked as John Stamos, actually overshadow the hard facts of a guilty plea?
Does that deep-seated loyalty and nostalgia just trump the legal complexities in Hollywood?
Or does the truth of the admitted guilt eventually win out?
It's fascinating. It really shows how much public perception, motive, and character still matter long after the legal stuff is supposedly settled. It's an ongoing battle.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood music and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.